All right, so the final, one of the last tools that I wanted to show you a demo video about is the pen tool. So you have a couple options for a pen tool, but kind of similar. So there's the original pen tool, and then there's a curvature tool, which some students have found helpful, like working with it. I'm not the most well versed with this curvature tool because it's just one of the newer tools. But I will kind of like check it out and let you know. For our particular assignments, especially this beginning one, I'm going to show you guys how to use this pen tool. If you hold down, the little submenus, you have an anchor point tool and the pen tool. So if you find yourself in this anchor tool point, it's going to look a little bit different, but make sure you're always on that pen tool. So if you want to think about the pen tool, it's more like live connect the dots. And so I'll show you kind of like some of the basic functions, and then you guys can explore and figure out what you want to create for your particular assignment. But you click on the icon, and then you're able to click on your artboard. So these are just very angular lines. I also want to make note of the fact that when you're drawing with the pen tool, I do not have a fill and I have the stroke. I have something that I can see. Okay. Once you close the shape, and closing the shape, you have to go back to that very first, click on that very first point. The shape will close, and then you can, fill it, adjust the stroke, add the stroke, and you can manipulate it like everything else. Let me show you what it looks like when you don't have just the stroke, and when you do not close it, okay? Because you'll see how the pen tool will follow your cursor. So I'm going to get out of this pen tool. Okay, I'm going to make this fill green, and I'll add a stroke. So this is what it looks like. And I know for many students, it's a little confusing when this is turned on. So that's why I just caution you to, when you have your pen tool and you're starting to just draw or trace something, turn off your fill, because then this is what will happen. So exact same shape, and it might, like, it starts filling everything in before you finish. So if you are okay with that, then you can do that. And then if I do not close it, like if I get really close but I still don't close it, right? This pen tool follows my mouse around. And the only time it will stop is when I go back and I click, and you can see that little circle that indicates like the close. And I click on it, and now nothing's following my mouse. Okay, so that's the pen tool with straight lines. Now, obviously, you want to get a little bit more creative than having a straight line. And so I'm going to show you how to do some curves. Okay, so you start off, you make a point, right? And then I click once, and I'm going to hold my trackpad down or my mouse, and I click and I'm dragging my mouse. Okay, I haven't let go. When I let go, you're going to see that the point, like the curved line from that first point to my most current point, right? It started off as a straight line. That curved line that you see will become my line. So as you can see, I still have a fill. So I can remove that fill just by making sure the fill is on top, and I go none. Okay. And then I make another point, I click and I drag, and the tendency for the pen tool is it wants to go in a circle, so it will happily follow me all the way in a circle. And then I go to that first point, and I can click and drag. So that is the most important part. If I want to scale it, I'll go here. One of the other things is that you can have your pen tool change directions. So I remember I told you that it wants to go in a circle, so its natural tendency is to do clockwise motion, but obviously not all things are teardrop shaped. So you can actually tell it, like, we're going to go over here, and if you wanted to change direction, you just click on that same point once, and you'll see how there's like that little triangle tip. That indicates a change in direction. So you click on that, and you can go opposite way or any other way you want. And you can click and drag. And then if you want to change directions again, you click there once. You can click and drag. Click and drag. So you can kind of make a couple shapes and practice changing directions, clicking and dragging, you know, but just make sure whatever shape or shapes that you create, the two probably most important things is that you always close your shape, right? If you want to make a curve, you click and drag. And then when you start drawing, to make it easier on yourself, when you're on your pen tool, check your fill and your stroke and make sure there's no fill and there is a stroke. Okay. But from here, once you actually make the shapes, you can color them in as you would like. Another thing that I don't think I showed you in the earlier ones is here's a shape. I've got 3 shapes. And if I liked this particular example and I wanted to make all of them match, I just select those shapes. I go to my eyedropper tool and I click on the shape that I want them to mimic, right? So that saves me time of clicking on each one, making this one red, making this one red, making this one red, and then adding the stroke. And actually, the eyedropper allows you to pick up the style of the one that you want. So I just did Command Z, which is undo. I'm selecting all 3, and you can tell that they all have the same stroke color and a different fill color, because this one's green, this one's white, or none and none. And then get your eyedropper tool, and you just hover over that shape and you click once, and all of them become uniform. All right, so save that. So like that's just like your pen tool intro. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to make like how to practice like the changing direction for your pen tool. And a really great shape for that is actually an umbrella top. But you know, once you figure out like that umbrella top, it's very empowering. So make sure you save and then click on the next video so you can, just kind of observe how that change in direction happens. And it's a good example for that. Okay? All right. Don't forget to save.